All gamer girls are ugly or fat.
Y'all dared me and I got rejected. I don't know what to do. Like that was a dare. I got dared, right? Didn't reload.
Wait, what the Clara?
When people talk about cheaters in the gaming world, their careers usually crash the second they get exposed. One viral clip pops up, one ban notice drops, and boom. It is basically game over. Their name turns into a running joke, sponsors disappear overnight, and the community moves on like that player never even existed. Most gamers who get caught using hacks do not get second chances. The internet keeps receipts, and it definitely does not forgive easily.
Hey, Rick, I got him.
Go off to our left or... Yeah.
I got him! 40.
Nah, I hope he doesn't kill me. That?
Hey, one's where?
Over there.
Low right. And it shows over here.
But every once in a while, someone flips that whole story upside down. Instead of disappearing after the accusations, they turn the chaos into attention. The drama gets louder, the clips spread everywhere, and suddenly the controversy starts pulling in viewers instead of pushing them away.
So right here, Nadia aimbot was about to pick up this player that was in front of her, and then her aim violently starts hitting the rock, not passing the rock at all, but just starts hitting right through the edge. And if you actually continue watching, you would realize that Nadia did not even notice there was a player there until she looked up at the minimap.
Some creators lean straight into the heat, building an audience off the arguments, the reactions, and the non-stop debate. That is exactly what made Nadia's situation so strange. Even with constant cheating accusations, endless breakdown videos, and comment sections arguing every single day, she kept showing up everywhere. Tournament invites kept coming, the streams kept growing, and people could not stop talking about it. It left a lot of viewers asking the same question. How does someone accused of cheating not only survive the backlash, but somehow level up from it? And even after beating the odds and staying in the spotlight, she still managed to lose it all. Viewers slowly started dropping off, the hype cooled down, and the same gaming crowd that once analyzed her every move suddenly stopped paying attention. The debates faded, the clips stopped trending, and the energy around her name just wasn't the same anymore. So Nadia made a sharp pivot. Instead of sticking to the same lane, she stepped into much more controversial corners of the internet just to keep the money flowing.
Has his aimbot set to friendlies, and you can already see that his aimbot is doing the exact same thing that Nadia's aimbot was doing, trying to lock onto my player model behind the rock and him not shooting, just to see if the same pattern would occur. And if you actually play these side by side, which I will do, you can see that her aim literally lines up in the exact same position using the exact same gun.
The move caught a lot of longtime followers off guard. People who had watched her rise from the start were confused about where things were heading and why everything felt so different all of a sudden. To really understand how things spiraled like this, you have to rewind back to 2021. That was the golden era of Call of Duty. Warzone, when the game was absolutely everywhere.
What's up, TikTok? Listen up. Call of Duty flew me and some other creators out that you might know to LA to play the newest game, MW2 and Warzone 2. So make sure you click here so you can watch me smoke these two.
You thought I was feeling you? Who'd have thought?
Warzone had exploded in popularity, pulling in more than 100 million registered players across the world. Huge in-game events were pulling over 1 million live viewers at the same time across streaming platforms, turning the scene into a massive stage for new creators.
Keep up, kind of weird. Oh.
If you were trying to break into gaming content back then, this was the perfect moment to do it. With a player base that huge, the opportunity was wide open. New streamers were popping up every single day, chasing attention with crazy kill counts, flashy clips, and loud personalities, trying to stand out in the chaos. Then, on June 28, 2021, Nadia jumped right into that wave. She uploaded her first big video, titled "This Female Gamer Just Beat the World Record." In the clip, she claimed she dropped 44 kills in a single Warzone match and presented it as a brand new world record performance. The title alone was built to grab attention instantly. A massive kill count, a bold world record claim, and the extra angle of being a female gamer in a scene that was still mostly dominated by male players. That combination had people curious right away.
It's inbound, marking new safe zone. Gas is in.
The attention came fast. Clips started spreading everywhere, viewers jumped into the comments, and debates popped up across gaming forums trying to figure out if the gameplay looked legit or not. Supporters were hyping her up like crazy, while critics were already watching closely. Some people even started slowing down her gameplay frame by frame, trying to catch anything suspicious hiding in the footage. But instead of stepping away from the spotlight, she leaned into it. Months later, she went live on Twitch and claimed she had matched the world record again, this time dropping 47 kills in a single match.
Oh, please.
Change your man.
Don't go. Oh my God.
That number instantly raised eyebrows across the competitive scene. In a game filled with elite players grinding every single day, a relatively new name suddenly putting up numbers like that was bound to turn heads, a rise that fast never goes unnoticed online. But here is the reality about internet fame. Being good at a game is not enough by itself. Skill might bring the first wave of viewers, but personality, controversy, and a strong narrative are what really keep people watching. Before long, the cheating debate basically became part of her brand. Every viral clip, every tournament appearance, every moment where her aim snapped a little too perfectly kept the conversation going. People were not just watching the gameplay anymore, they were watching the mystery around it. Every suspicious moment had viewers rushing to the comments, arguing back and forth about whether it was skill or something else. The gameplay turned into a full-on internet investigation. And here is the reality of how the internet works. When someone who is considered attractive steps into a gaming space that has historically been dominated by men, the spotlight hits very differently. Competitive gaming has been run mostly by male players for years, so when Nadia came in confidently branding herself as the best female Warzone player, she instantly carved out a lane that was guaranteed to grab attention. It was a smart move. She was not presenting herself as just another Warzone grinder fighting for views. She built an identity around being the best female player and pushed that label everywhere.
I'm gonna be honest with you, chat. Yesterday, they gave us a rehearsal time, okay? Come here and play. I did not play at all. I'm probably the only person in this room that has not played the game once. So if you guys see me play like dog shit, it's because one, I haven't played at all. I have not touched this game. And two, I was not allowed to bring my Cronin.
You could see that strategy clearly in her early YouTube titles. Videos like Best Female Player 27 Kills Fortunes Keep Solo and Female World Record 45 Kills Fortunes Keep were designed to jump right off the screen in a crowded feed. The wording was not random at all, it was bold, competitive, and built around identity. Anyone scrolling through Warzone content could instantly see the angle she was pushing. The branding was obvious, and it made her stand out in a sea of similar creators. But it was not just YouTube where she was building momentum. At the same time, she was blowing up on TikTok too. Short clips started popping up everywhere. Intense moments like 3 versus 1 clutches, 4 versus 1 comebacks, and crazy high kill streak highlights that made her gameplay look almost unstoppable. Mixed in with those clips were videos leaning into the cute gamer aesthetic. Soft lighting, playful reactions, confident smirks right after big plays. It all felt very intentional. The mix of skill highlights and personality moments worked perfectly with the algorithm. Even in clips where the original audio had to be removed because of copyright, the energy still came through loud and clear. Fast edits, dramatic reactions, and those final clutch eliminations were cut together in a way that kept people watching all the way through.
Okay. This guy was talking to... You're just a silly goose, aren't you?
Then they would replay it again. It was obvious she understood something important early on. Gameplay alone would not carry a channel. Presentation mattered just as much. And the comment sections told a whole story by themselves. Some fans were hyping her up, calling the plays insane, while others filled the replies with lines like, let's play those sims, assemble, and all right bet. So when we are playing, I'm on every day catching some vibes and some dubs. The attention around her was anything but subtle. A huge portion of the engagement came from viewers who were just as focused on her online persona as they were on her actual kill count. People were watching for the gameplay, sure, but they were also watching the personality, the reactions, the whole vibe around her streams. And somehow that combination kept pulling more eyes in. Over time, that blend of sharp marketing and highlight-heavy gameplay really started paying off. Her videos began stacking up tens of thousands of views. Right as Call of Duty, Warzone kept exploding in popularity across the internet. As the game kept growing, her numbers started climbing with it. The wave was real, and she was riding it at exactly the right moment. On Twitch, the growth became even more noticeable. Early on, her average viewership was pretty modest, nothing wild yet. But then something shifted. The numbers suddenly spiked and the graph shot upward fast. Before long, she was averaging thousands of live viewers during streams. At one point in that run, she peaked at around 14,000 concurrent viewers. For someone who had only recently stepped into the scene, that was huge. And the wild part? This was all happening off Warzone alone. No variety streams, no major collaborations at the beginning. Just gameplay, strong branding, and controversy quietly building in the background. Eventually, even longtime figures in the Call of Duty community started noticing her rise. One of the OG names in the scene, FaZe Rug, even responded to a tweet about her saying, "Dude, she's actually so good." When veterans in the space start giving you public shoutouts like that, it adds a whole new layer of credibility. It signals to the community that you are not just another random streamer popping up. You might actually belong in the conversation. By this point, Nadia was no longer just someone trying to break into the scene. She was becoming a recognized name in the Warzone world. Her momentum was building fast, and her fan base was growing day by day. With big names mentioning her and clips circulating everywhere, it started to feel like she was suddenly all over the internet. People kept saying things like, "I see her stuff on TikTok all the time and she's insane." That kind of organic buzz is hard to manufacture. When your name keeps showing up in clips, streams, and daily gaming conversations, it means you have officially entered the spotlight. She was no longer just a rising creator, she was becoming part of the everyday timeline in the Warzone community. But right as her numbers kept climbing and her reputation seemed to be leveling up, the tone online slowly began to change. The same attention that helped build her brand started turning into heavy scrutiny. Viewers were not just watching for entertainment anymore, they were watching closely, looking for something to question. Eventually, even longtime figures in the Call of Duty community started paying attention to her rise. One of the OG names in the space, FaZe Rug, even replied to a tweet about her saying, "Dude, she's actually so good." When veterans start co-signing you like that, it instantly adds another layer of legitimacy. Suddenly, the community starts looking at you differently. By that point, Nadia was no longer just another streamer trying to break through. She was becoming a recognized name in the Warzone world. Her momentum was building fast, and she was locking in a fan base that kept growing every single day. With shoutouts like that circulating online, it started to feel like her name was popping up everywhere. People would say things like, "I see her stuff on TikTok all the time, and she's insane." That kind of organic buzz is hard to fake. When clips keep spreading and people keep bringing your name into the conversation, it means you have officially entered the spotlight. Nadia was no longer just a rising creator. She had become part of the daily timeline in the Warzone community. But right when her numbers were climbing and her reputation seemed to be leveling up, the tone online began to shift. The same attention that helped build her brand slowly started turning into intense scrutiny. Viewers were not just watching for entertainment anymore. They were watching closely and analyzing everything. Rumors about her gameplay started spreading across forums, TikTok breakdowns, and YouTube commentary channels, and they spread fast. Clips of her matches were slowed down frame by frame. People began dissecting her aim, her tracking, and even her reaction speed. Critics started pointing out moments they believed looked unusual. On Reddit, especially in communities focused on streamers and cheating discussions, users reposted her gameplay constantly. Threads filled up with debates about whether what people were seeing was legitimate or not. The main accusation centered around something players call snapping. For context, snapping is a term used in shooter games when a player's crosshair appears to instantly lock onto an enemy target in a way that looks extremely fast and almost perfectly precise. In many cases, movements like that get associated with automated aiming tools, often called aimbot. When it happens smoothly and repeatedly, people naturally start asking questions. Some TikTok creators even posted demonstrations of custom aimbot setups to show how snapping can look in practice. In those examples, the crosshair quickly jerks or locks onto an opponent and sticks to them almost magnetically. The motion looks mechanical, almost too clean to be natural, and those comparisons only push the debate even further across the community. Viewers were suddenly being told to look closer at the details. People started paying attention to how the crosshair moved, how quickly it snapped toward enemies, and whether it drifted away naturally or seemed to stick in place. Once that idea started spreading, the comparisons followed right behind it. Critics began placing those aimbot demonstration clips side by side with Nadia's gameplay highlights. In certain slowed down moments, her crosshair appeared to lock onto enemies right after she finished shooting, almost like it was glued there for a split second. That tiny detail quickly became the center of the conversation. The user who originally posted one of the viral Reddit clips even edited multiple slow-motion versions of the same moment to highlight what they believed looked suspicious. Those clips started circulating fast, and the comment sections filled up almost immediately. Some viewers defended her, arguing that high-level aim can look strange or unnatural when footage is slowed down frame by frame. Others were not convinced at all. One viewer wrote, "I tuned into her stream based on Twitch recommendation today, suggesting they showed up curious but walked away with doubts." That pattern kept repeating across the internet. Curiosity was slowly turning into suspicion, and suspicion was turning into a full-on debate across the community. And some viewers were starting to speak a lot more bluntly about it. One viewer did not hold back at all. They wrote, "This was the first game I watched, turned her channel off after I saw this. Watch her aim drag towards the player through walls." That comment started spreading quickly across forums and clips. Before long, people believed they knew exactly which moment the viewer was talking about. In that particular clip, her crosshair appeared to move toward an enemy who was positioned behind a wall. For a split second, it almost looked like the aim was tracking the player's location before they were even visible on screen. That tiny moment instantly became a huge talking point across the community. Critics argued that there was no clear in-game information that should have revealed the enemy's position in that situation. Because of that, the clip quickly became one of the main pieces of evidence people kept bringing up in the debate. Supporters pushed back, saying it could easily have been audio cues, strong map awareness, or simple prediction during a tense fight. But opponents were not convinced. They said the movement looked too direct, too locked in, and almost too clean to be natural. The idea that her aim appeared to drag towards someone through solid cover started getting repeated everywhere. Reddit threads, TikTok breakdowns, and YouTube reaction videos. Some critics even went a step further, trying to guess what specific settings someone might use if cheats were involved. One of the most repeated theories focused on something critics called lower torso aim. The idea was simple. In many of her clips, people noticed that her shots often landed around the stomach area instead of the head or upper chest. To some viewers, that pattern did not look random. They believed it looked intentional. A few commentators even tried to test that theory themselves. In private testing environments, they claimed they downloaded aimbot software and adjusted the settings to specifically target the lower torso area. The goal was to see if they could recreate the same type of tracking people believed they were seeing in Nadia's clips. According to those creators, the results looked surprisingly similar. In their demonstrations, the crosshair consistently favored the midsection and followed enemy movement in a steady, guided way. After recording those tests, they placed their footage side by side with Nadia's gameplay in slow-motion comparisons to highlight the similarities they believed they noticed. They argued that her tracking sometimes appeared to follow the lower half of the enemy model almost perfectly. That observation added another layer to the growing controversy. Now, the debate was not just about snapping anymore. It was about specific aim behavior patterns and how consistent they appeared. And critics did not stop there. In another breakdown, a creator named Tino ROWs claimed her aim seemed to react to an opponent before she visibly did. In one clip, her crosshair suddenly snapped sharply to the right, almost like it detected something happening off screen. The argument was that an automated system might react to an enemy's presence faster than a person could consciously process it. Moments like that kept the speculation alive and pushed the debate even further across the gaming community. To push the idea further, he reportedly set up his own aimbot trial under controlled conditions. The goal was to recreate the same type of situation, similar map layouts, similar positioning, and the same kinds of angles seen in the clips people were debating. When he triggered movement patterns during his tests, he claimed the snap looked almost identical to what he believed he saw during her stream. That comparison immediately sparked even more discussion online. By this point, the debate had grown way beyond casual suspicion. It had turned into detailed analysis, frame-by-frame breakdowns, software testing claims, and side-by-side video edits started circulating everywhere. The community was completely split down the middle. Some viewers believed it was simply coincidence mixed with high-level mechanics, while others believed the patterns looked far too consistent to ignore. For critics, the snapping clips, the lower torso tracking, and the moments where the crosshair seemed to move toward enemies behind cover all felt connected. To them, it looked patterned, it looked repeatable. And when some creators claimed they could recreate similar results using specific settings, the accusations only got louder. From the outside looking in, many people started saying the same thing. There seemed to be enough smoke in the conversation for viewers to assume there had to be a fire somewhere. Still, none of it was official proof. There was no ban announcement, no confirmed software detection, and no statement from the game developers saying she had broken any rules. At the end of the day, everything circulating online was still speculation and analysis from viewers. These were allegations, not confirmed violations. That distinction mattered, even though social media already seemed to be leaning strongly in one direction. As the noise kept getting louder, Nadia decided to address the situation head-on. She uploaded a YouTube video titled, "The Truth About Me Cheating." The title alone made it clear she understood how serious the conversation had become. Ignoring it was no longer an option. In the video, she sat in front of the camera and pushed back directly against the accusations. She firmly denied cheating, no hesitation, no vague answers. Her message was simple. She said her performance came from skill, experience, and countless hours playing the game. According to her, there was nothing artificial behind her gameplay. She reminded viewers that she had been playing Call of Duty for years, long before her channel ever started gaining traction online. From her perspective, the accusations did not appear until her popularity started exploding. As her name grew bigger, so did the scrutiny around her clips. She also argued that part of the backlash came from competing in a gaming space that has historically been dominated by men. She suggested that some people might have been quicker to doubt her abilities because of that, rather than focusing purely on the gameplay itself. And to be fair, harassment toward women in gaming is a well-documented issue. Female players often deal with extra scrutiny, dismissive comments, and targeted criticism that male players rarely experience at the same level. That context is important and cannot just be brushed aside when conversations like this start gaining attention. The main issue many critics had with her response was not that she brought up sexism. What frustrated them was that she did not directly break down the specific clips people were questioning. Viewers expected detailed explanations for the moments that had gone viral. They wanted frame-by-frame responses about the snapping clips and the accusations about crosshair movement near walls. Instead, her response focused on a broad denial. She stated clearly that she was not cheating and suggested that much of the backlash came from bias and the culture surrounding competitive gaming. For some viewers, that answer felt incomplete. They felt like the biggest questions were still sitting there unanswered. The reaction to the video was intense. The upload quickly collected around 22,000 dislikes, which showed just how divided the audience had become. But the comment section was not completely against her. Plenty of supporters stepped in to defend her. Some wrote things like, "She's speaking facts," while others posted messages like, "They just haters, keep doing what you're doing." Her fan base was still active, still loyal, and still convinced the controversy had been blown way out of proportion. At this point, the situation was no longer just about gameplay mechanics. The discussion had turned into something much bigger. Now it was a full internet debate about skill, bias, online investigations, and how quickly communities can turn on someone once doubt enters the picture. There were also many women online who stepped in to defend her from their own perspective. For them, the backlash looked very familiar. They argued that women in gaming often get doubted the moment they start showing high-level skill. According to them, the criticism was not just about gameplay, it reflected a pattern they had seen many times before in competitive spaces. One writer even published an article titled, "Call of Duty Dipshits Won't Stop Accusing Warzone's Top Female Streamer of Cheating." The headline alone showed how heated the conversation had become. It was written with a strong stance, clearly framing critics as ignorant rather than directly breaking down the gameplay arguments people were debating. That article only poured more gasoline on an already burning discussion. The internet was now completely split into two camps. On one side were people convinced the clips spoke for themselves. On the other side were supporters arguing that this was simply another example of a talented woman being unfairly targeted in a male-dominated gaming scene. The back and forth dragged on for months. Reaction videos kept popping up, Reddit threads kept growing, TikTok stitches spread everywhere, and streamers debated it live in front of thousands of viewers. Eventually, all that tension built toward a moment that many people saw as the ultimate test for her gameplay. The real tipping point arrived when Nadia received an invitation to compete in an in-person Modern Warfare 2 LAN tournament. Around major game launches, publishers often invite popular creators to special early access events. The idea is simple: bring in big personalities, let them play the new title early, and build massive hype before release. With Warzone 2.0 on the way, a group of well-known streamers were invited to compete live at one of these events. At the time, Nadia was still one of the biggest female creators in the Warzone scene, so from a marketing perspective, her invite made perfect sense. But the timing made the situation explosive. The cheating accusations were already at their peak. This event suddenly felt like a public test. If she performed well on LAN, in front of other players and event staff, it would send a powerful message to the critics. But if she struggled, the people accusing her would feel completely validated. There was almost no middle ground here. The pressure around this moment was massive. Up until that point, all of her standout performances had taken place at home on her personal setup. Critics often argued that if someone were using unauthorized software, a private setup would make it easier to hide. A controlled event completely changed that equation. At a LAN tournament, players compete on standardized equipment provided by the organizers, with staff and other competitors nearby the entire time. In other words, everything is happening out in the open. At LAN events, the systems are closely monitored and officials are present the entire time. That means there is far less opportunity for any kind of outside interference. Everything happens under supervision, with standardized setups and staff watching over the competition. For many viewers, that alone made this event feel very different from a normal stream. There was another important detail too. LAN stands for Local Area Network, which means every competitor is connected through the same local network instead of regular online servers. That setup reduces latency and eliminates many of the connection issues players deal with online. No lag spikes to blame, no unstable internet, just pure gameplay on an even playing field. For people who had been questioning her aim, this moment felt like the ultimate stress test. There were no easy explanations left. If she showed up and dominated in that environment, a huge part of the cheating narrative would instantly lose strength. Her supporters would point to it as proof that she had been legitimate the entire time. But the pressure worked both ways. If she struggled badly on LAN, critics would see it as confirmation of everything they had been arguing for months. And in that situation, the accusations would only grow louder with very little room left to dismiss them. People in her TikTok comments were already calling it out before the event even began. The pressure was building days in advance. One comment that spread quickly said, "Aimbot doesn't work there." That single line alone pulled in around 36,000 likes. Another comment read, "You know you're not allowed to use the VPN when you play them, right?" And that one stacked up roughly 77,000 likes. The audience clearly saw this tournament as a major truth moment. This was not just another casual stream or online match. For many viewers, this felt like the moment that could finally settle months of debate. If she performed the same way she did online, critics would lose their biggest argument overnight. But even before the tournament started, she began mentioning a few possible challenges. She talked about nerves, unfamiliar equipment, and playing in a completely different environment. For some viewers, that sounded totally reasonable. For others, it raised eyebrows. To certain critics, it sounded like groundwork being laid just in case the performance did not go well. And then the matches finally began. From the very start, something felt different. The sharp, confident aim people were used to seeing on her streams just was not there. The aggressive tracking, the lightning-fast reactions, the constant high kill momentum, those moments that usually made her clips go viral were suddenly missing. Instead, the matches looked rough. By the end of her run, her record sat at 4 wins and 15 losses, tying her at the very bottom of the leaderboard. For someone who had built a reputation as the top female Warzone player, that result shocked a lot of viewers. But it was not just the numbers that stood out. Watching the gameplay itself raised even more questions. Her aim looked shaky, and several shots missed by wide margins. There were moments where she seemed unsure about basic positioning during fights. Viewers who had watched countless clips from her streams immediately started making comparisons. Online, she often looked completely locked in, snapping onto targets and barely missing. On LAN, though, it felt like people were watching a completely different player. There were even moments where she accidentally fired at her own teammates more than once during the matches. That detail spread across the internet almost immediately. Critics argued that moments like that showed a level of awareness that did not match the elite image she had built online. In one situation, her team had a UAV active, which should have given clear information about enemy positions on the map. But instead of reacting to that intel, she jumped around a corner pre-aiming in the wrong direction, looking completely out of sync with the information available. Then, there were the missed shots. Instead of smoothly adjusting her aim to control recoil or follow enemy movement, she often seemed slow to correct her crosshair. For viewers who had studied her online clips for months, the difference was hard to ignore. The precise tracking people were used to seeing suddenly looked far less controlled during the tournament. Within hours, the contrast became one of the biggest talking points across social media. Clips spread everywhere. Supporters tried to explain it as nerves or simply a bad day under pressure. Critics, however, saw something very different. To them, the performance felt like confirmation of everything they had been questioning. The LAN event did not calm the debate. It made it explode. Some viewers even described moments where it looked like she was firing into empty space, almost waiting for that smooth, lock-on style aim people had talked about for months. But nothing snapped into place. Nothing corrected itself. The shots just drifted. And because the performance gap looked so dramatic, comparison videos flooded the internet almost instantly. Creators placed her confident home stream clips side by side with the shaky LAN footage. The contrast was hard to ignore. In one moment, she finally secured a kill, but even then, the opening aim started off target before slowly adjusting back onto the enemy. Critics immediately paused that exact frame and replayed it again and again. They pointed out how different her crosshair movement looked compared to the clips people had watched from her home streams. Online, her aim often looked glued to opponents, snapping cleanly from target to target. On stage, though, the crosshair seemed to wander more and miss adjustments that viewers were not used to seeing. That tournament completely shifted the tone of the conversation. Before the LAN event, the accusations were intense, but still heavily debated. There were plenty of people sitting on the fence, unsure what to believe. After the LAN matches, however, many of those undecided viewers started leaning toward the critics. For the creators who had spent months analyzing clips and posting breakdowns, this moment felt like validation. To them, the LAN performance looked like the missing piece of the puzzle. The backlash spread fast across TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit, and the criticism grew louder with each new comparison video. At that point, simply repeating the same denial probably would not have changed many minds. So instead of continuing to argue directly, Nadia took a different approach. She began leaning into the accusations in a sarcastic way. She posted videos and TikToks joking about using aimbot, pretending to confess in a playful tone. Rather than constantly fighting the narrative, she started turning the controversy into content. From a marketing perspective, it was actually a clever move. If people were already filling her comments with cheating jokes, why not turn that attention into engagement? Soon, she was even referencing hacks directly in titles and captions. The controversy itself became part of the brand, and every heated debate pushed her posts deeper into the algorithm. In the short term, that strategy actually worked. The jokes, the sarcastic posts, and the controversy-driven content kept people talking. Engagement stayed high, clips kept circulating, and her name continued popping up across social media. But behind the scenes, a bigger problem was starting to build. As Warzone slowly began losing its peak popularity, her numbers started slipping too. After November 2022, her average viewership showed a noticeable drop. The huge hype wave that had carried her upward was beginning to slow down. And there was another challenge. A large part of her audience had originally been pulled in by the controversy and the constant debate, not necessarily deep loyalty to her as a creator. Many viewers were tuning in just to argue in chat, analyze gameplay, or even hate watch the streams. When the game itself cooled off, that energy faded with it. Without a tight-knit community built around personality, variety content, or long-term connection, the situation became risky. She now faced a tough crossroads: either evolve beyond the scandal, build real entertainment value, and grow a stronger community, or risk slowly fading out as the internet shifted its attention to the next big name. As her numbers kept slipping and Warzone slowly cooled off, Nadia made a drastic pivot. The competitive gamer image that once defined her brand started disappearing. She dropped the whole top female Warzone player identity and shifted into a completely different lane: full-time hot tub streaming. The competitive grind was out. Pool streams and bikini content were suddenly the new direction. That change hit whatever remained of her core gaming audience. Some long-time viewers who originally followed her for gameplay were clearly not expecting that kind of switch. But at the same time, a completely different crowd began showing up. The stream started attracting mostly male viewers who were tuning in more for the visuals than for the gameplay itself. She adapted to the shift quickly. Titles and thumbnails changed almost overnight. Instead of bold claims about world record kill games, the uploads leaned into heavy clickbait like "My crush has to do this if I win on Warzone" or "Ezra caught me cheating." Those titles were paired with poolside visuals designed to grab attention immediately. It was obvious she understood how to pull clicks. And to be fair, the strategy worked for a while. The streams became active again, chat was moving fast, and clips started circulating across social media once more. But the reason people were watching had clearly changed. If you scroll through her most popular Twitch clips from that period, the shift is obvious. The highlights were no longer intense gunfights or high-level plays. Instead, the focus had moved to reaction moments, playful jokes, and pool stream highlights that kept viewers talking. The competitive edge that originally sparked all the controversy slowly faded out of the spotlight. Gameplay was no longer the center of attention. Instead, her content leaned much more into shock value, personality moments, and attention-grabbing streams rather than intense matches or high-level plays. Around that same period, she also joined a subscription platform similar to FanHouse, where creators share exclusive 18+ content with paying supporters. That decision triggered another wave of backlash online. Critics argued that the move confirmed she had completely abandoned the serious gamer image she once once promoted, supporters pushed back, saying she was simply diversifying her income the same way many creators do. Either way, the shift was impossible to ignore. The identity she built during the Warzone boom had clearly changed, and as that happened, the original cheating debate slowly drifted into the background of the internet conversation. After that phase, a new narrative started circulating. The idea that her popularity had peaked and was now declining. In response, she eventually tried pivoting back toward Call of Duty and Warzone, slowly reintroducing gameplay into her streams and content. You could see the effort to reconnect with the style that made her famous in the first place. But the viewership never fully returned to its earlier peak. The controversy-driven hype had cooled off, and the audience that followed her during the hot tub era did not automatically convert into a competitive gaming community. There was even a moment where she was scheduled to appear at a Delta Force-themed streamer event alongside several respected shooter creators. However, after Backlash online, her promotional appearance was reportedly removed. Nadia later claimed she had effectively been blacklisted from the event because of the bikini content she had been posting. Whether that was the full reason or just part of a bigger decision behind the scenes, the optics definitely did not help her situation. The timing made everything look messy, and the conversation around her brand only became more confusing. And that brings us closer to the present. Her channel has struggled with a clear identity. Is she a competitive FPS player? Is she more of a lifestyle streamer now? Or is the content still leaning into controversy whenever it starts trending again? Those questions have followed her for a while. Since around April 2025, her viewership has been on a steady decline. The spikes are smaller, the hype waves fade faster, and the attention she once commanded during the Warzone boom is much harder to recreate. After reshaping her brand multiple times, it is unclear what core audience is still locked in for the long run. Recently, she appears to be focusing on gaming again, trying to rebuild the competitive image that originally made her popular. But after the hot tub era reshaped her platform, the challenge now is different. The real question is whether she can build a loyal community this time instead of riding the next viral moment. If you made it this far, comment your thoughts below. Do you think she was misunderstood, or did the LAN event reveal the real story? Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the Fame Rant Daily channel, share this with someone who remembers the Warzone drama, and I will catch you in the next one.